Hi, my name is Danielle. I'm an independent Kaszazz consultant in Tassie. I'd just like to share with you a few things about our new alcohol ink art markers. There are 72 different colours. This includes a clear blender, and the colours all correspond with our SB Essentials. They're available in a full size kit, which is the full 72. You can also get them in a pack of 6, which are corresponding colours which will work together, and of course you can also buy them individually. Their full set comes in a carry case, and you can also purchase the carry case separately. This is one of our alcohol markers. This is the Rouge colour, and the names are clearly printed on the barrel of the pen and also on each end, so you know which caps belong to which pens. They have a chisel end on one end, which is great for colouring those bigger areas and colouring in some ribbons and things. Or they have a brush end, which is a flexible brush nib. One of the things that I really like about these is it's easy to know which end you want to use. The chisel end has a little chisel tip printed here, and it has a white ring here. This end has a little brush tip printed on it, but it has a black ring, so you can easily pick it up and know which end that you need to open to get the desired tip. Now these alcohol ink art markers are acid free once they're dry, so they are safe to use in your scrapbooks once you've coloured in an image and they're dry. I wouldn't suggest colouring them onto your photos because they aren't recommended as being acid free when they're wet. You can colour in lots of different things with them. Of course you can colour in your images, but you can also colour in embellishments as well, and I'll show you some of those things now. Here's a little sample of some of the embellishments that you can colour and some of the techniques and blendings that you can do with our alcohol ink art markers. Up here I've got just a solid colour, and I've used our clear blender. And I've used this when it has been dried, the base colour is dry, and also when the base colour is wet. So you can get different effects depending on when you use that clear blender. It can also be used to help if you've made a mistake when you're colouring an image and it's gone outside the line. You can colour in ribbons and flowers and lace, masking tapes. You can colour in lots of different brads, and so basically you can change any of your embellishments to meet the colour that you need to be able to match your project. This one here was a blue flower, and I was able to use the grape marker to colour it in purple, so you can even change your flowers. You can colour buttons, you can add patterns to your buttons as well, and you can also colour in some of our mediums, glossy accents, crackle accents, enamel accents, distress stickles and eye stickles. Of course you need to wait until these ones are dry before you can colour them in. The dragonflies on the side here, these are all different papers that I've used. So this is just our regular cardstock, and this one's vellum, glossy and plastic. Each of them gives a different effect. It may be hard to see on the video, but they all have different looks to them, and I find the easiest one to do by far is the normal paper. When you're using any of the other ones, it doesn't tend to blend as well, and you can get a different look. So you can use solid colours, but it's not as easy to blend the colours together. When you're using the alcohol markers, you also have to be careful of what inks you can use. If you're wanting to colour an image in, you need to use an ink that is not going to react with the alcohol ink art markers. Memento is a great ink for doing this. It is a permanent ink, and it is a dye ink. So because the alcohol markers are a solvent ink, they're not going to react. If you were to use StazOn with your images, then what will happen is that line will go fuzzy and will actually react with your colouring. So it's always really good to test your images first. You can stamp them and then wait till the image that you've stamped is dry, and then colour over them with the art markers. And if it reacts, you'll know that that's not a suitable ink and you'll need to find an alternative. Just want to share with you some colouring techniques. These are some dragonflies that I have stamped in Memento ink just on our regular white cardstock, and I'm going to use 3 different coloured art markers to colour them in. I'm going to use marine, sapphire and ocean. So I'm going to start with my lightest colour first, which is ocean. I'm using the brush tip and I'm going to colour all over Now you don't want to colour too heavily because it will bleed through, and it is important to have that scrap paper underneath so that if it does bleed through, it's not going to bleed back. Then what I like to do, I like to go to my darkest colour next. It will depend on what image you are colouring as to what you want to do, but I want to get a gradual colour across my image. Then I'm going to go to my medium colour, which is a marine, and just colour just to the edge and bring that colour across. And then back to our ocean, which was our base colour, and continue to bring that across. Now I'm working in short strokes. If you prefer, you can work in little circles. So it depends on what's most comfortable for you. But the biggest thing is not to go over the edges any more than what you have to, because you can bleed outside your image. So if you do this, you can use your clear blender to push that colour back in, and it will push back in. But if you can avoid it, that's always good. So by doing this, you can blend your colours together and get that really nice, equal, even look. And the thing about the art markers is that they, as you're putting them on, they level themselves out to be a nice, even colour. They're not streaky. Of course, if you're using them on plastic, like I said before, or vellum, you can notice the streaks a little bit more. So I'm just going to finish colouring this in. So there's our finished image. Now, something I didn't mention before is with our alcohol ink art markers, there is a code on them. This is based on the Pantone matching system, and this enables Kaszazz to be able to match the alcohol marker colour to the SB Essential marker. It's a widely used numbering system. So the numbers don't actually correspond to an order that you should blend them in or mix them with. So the best way to do that is to look at the set that you have purchased, or the individual 6 sets, or look at the colour range of our SB Essentials, which are in a colour order, and you can easily see which ones might go together, and then have a play and see what works for you. I'm just going to colour some embellishments now. So the great thing about being able to colour our embellishments is that you can get them to match your pages. So I'm going to colour a seam binding. Now the best way I found to do this is to use our chisel end and just do long strokes. So this colour that I'm using is Rouge. So there's our seam binding, nicely coloured. And when it dries, it does go a little bit stiffer, but you can easily make that flexible again. Something else which I've done with the seam binding and also white ribbon is I've used some different colours on the one piece of ribbon. So I've given it that graded look, and I've done that the same way I did with my dragonfly. So I started with the lightest colour and moved to the medium and then to the darker colour on the edge. And I use the chisel tip when doing that. So here's our white ribbon. Again, chisel end, and just swipe it along. And it's very easy to colour the ribbons. It's fantastic. You can also colour the twine and any of the ribbons. Even if it's a coloured ribbon, you can still colour it with the alcohol art markers. It will just give you a different look. And these are some of our little flowers. You can colour those as well. And we've got 3 different sizes of flowers, and they're all able to be coloured. And so you just, again, with the chisel tip, just brushing them outwards. Now they will stay a little bit wet, the same as the ribbons, so you just need to sit them aside to dry to then use them on your project so that they don't leave any residue where you don't want them. So there we go, a beautiful red flower. One of the other things I want to show you is our metal embellishments. I find it easier to colour these in with the brush end, but you can do whichever works for you. And the way I colour those is you just rub over the top. And there it is, a red brad ready to match. And that works the same way for any of our embellishments, like I showed before. You can also colour in our pearls. Pearls come in lots of different colours, and so it'd be lovely to colour them in. Now with these, it doesn't matter if you go onto the plastic, because that is going to come off anyway. So you can colour those in and you've got pearls to match your project. Something I like to do with our rhinestones or our sticky bling is to colour them in black first. So I just use our black marker and colour them in, and being careful not to go on the sticky part underneath the bling, as that will be adhered to your project. So just carefully colouring those in. Let those dry for a few seconds, because they are alcohol markers, they will dry quite quickly. And I'm just going to use our Rouge marker, and I'm just going to touch on the top of each of those. Now what will happen is it will just add a little bit of a tinge of red. Now this will look different to our red, I'll show you in a second. Something which is important, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there is a little bit of black on my red marker. You just need to come to your scrap paper and just work that off. And your markers will not contaminate one another, you can always clean them off. So then you've got a little red tinge in some black rhinestones. And so this is what just red rhinestones will look like. You can see the difference in those. It just adds a bit of a different texture and a different colour to them. Something else I'd like to show you is just how their papers can coordinate. So this is a piece of our lavender SB Essential, and this is our lavender marker. And so if I get my chisel tip and I just colour in there, you can see as that dries especially that those colours are very similar. They may not be exactly identical, but they certainly will be very close because they are using the Pantone matching system. I hope you've enjoyed my overview of our Kaszazz alcohol ink art markers. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment and I'll help you where I can. If you'd like to purchase these alcohol ink art markers, they're available to purchase from Kaszazz Consultants. If you don't have a Kaszazz consultant, please get in contact with Kaszazz and they'll be able to put you in touch with someone who will be able to help you. Thank you very much for watching.